Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America. We have a top Republican saying they're out. That's the first big Senate announcement. Another Republican saying they're in. That's another announcement that has Republicans really furious. And a whole bunch of other news here today, including stuff from Mamdani, a Logan Act violation, all kinds of things going on. But before we get started, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, shares, subscribes. I know I'm a broken record, but those things really, really help the channel. Also, to everybody who hits the super thanks button by hitting those three little dots and hitting thanks, that's massive for us, and we appreciate it so much. In our first bit of news, a lot of Republicans are pretty angry about this, but Darlene Graham Nardone, Senator Darlene Graham Nardone, has announced that she does intend to campaign for her late brother Lindsey's seat permanently in the Senate. Now, as a senator from South Carolina, of course, you're one of 100 senators. That's a lot of responsibility. I don't have an opinion one way or the other about this. I just want the Republican to win. But a lot of Republicans have been furious about this, and they're expressing anger, saying this is not an inherited position. This is something you have to earn. You know, you should have to have qualifications that exceed just being the sister of somebody who was a senator. But I will say this. The voters of South Carolina are going to decide, and if she campaigns effectively and they vote for her to be their nominee, the Republicans in that state, then they've decided she's qualified. And I believe that it should be up to the voters. And it is. It's not like, hey, she's going to be our nominee and everybody's out. No, we already know that Norman is going to run, right? Ralph Norman. So we know that people are in this race, and she's going to have to run against them, and she's going to have to lay out her vision and her plan and what she intends to do as a senator from the great state of South Carolina. And so for that reason, I'm not that worried about it because, again, the voters are going to decide this thing. And the voters have a right to be represented by who they say they want to be represented by. If that is Darlene Graham Nardone, then that's who it is. That's the democratic process. But I think that some people are wrong when they say, well, she shouldn't run. Why not? The founding fathers of this country wanted these jobs to be for anybody and everybody. And just the fact that she is the sister of the late Senator Graham shouldn't disqualify her from that. I want you guys to listen to this and let me know what you think in the comments.
Meanwhile, what's happening in South Carolina?
So lots of news last night was breaking. Sean Hannity went down to Columbia, South Carolina, the capital of South Carolina, to go interview Lindsey Graham's sister, because now she is in his Senate seat until the end of the year, until January 3rd. And he had this exclusive interview with her talking about what went into this decision to fill her brother's seat. And Sean asked her, are you planning on running for the full term in the fall? Listen.
And then the president's putting an ask on you, we'll put it that way. It's a lot of pressure.
It is a tremendous amount of pressure.
Tell me what's going through your head about it, and where do you stand now?
I'll continue to say I've been praying a lot, talking to my family, but with the love of my family, with the support of his staff. I know I'm a hard worker. I learned that from Lindsey. He cared about the people of this state. I've worked for almost 30 years for the people of this state.
I want to talk about that in a minute.
I feel like I can do it. I feel an inner peace about it. Will it be difficult? Yes, absolutely.
So you're inclined to get in, or have you even made a final decision?
I've made a decision.
You're in.
I'm in.
So a big announcement with our friend Sean Hannity. I will say this, I learned a lot about her because I didn't know much.
New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani got a brutal legal smackdown. You guys may know that over the weekend, we reported it here, Mamdani threatened to arrest Prime Minister of Israel Benjamin Netanyahu when he visits New York City. The problem is he doesn't have the legal authority to do that. He's relying on a warrant from the IRCC, which is not a court that has any authority in the United States of America. And because of that, you know, he's going well above and beyond what his capabilities are, what his legal guidelines are, and what he's allowed to do. You are the mayor of one city, my friend. The mayor of one city. You don't get to decide for the whole country. You don't get to create an international incident. You don't get to do these things that you think you get to do. No matter how big New York City is, it's still one city, and you're still one mayor. This guy's ego is so massive that it can barely contain itself anymore. But Ellie Honig, who is a noted legal scholar, who appears on CNN, laid the absolute brutal smackdown on Mamdani over this. I want you to watch it and let me know what you think.
So, Ellie, give us a reality check here. Can Mamdani have Netanyahu arrested?
Absolutely not. It is utterly ridiculous for the mayor of New York City to even suggest that he might have the authority to order the arrest of Benjamin Netanyahu or any visiting foreign head of state. First of all, the mayor of New York City has zero law enforcement authority. He does not tell the Manhattan DA, the NYPD, who to arrest, who to indict. Second of all, this warrant that we're talking about here was issued by the ICC, the International Criminal Court, which we are not signatories to here in the United States. So that warrant issued by the ICC has zero legal effect here in the United States. In fact, we have a federal law here in the U.S. passed 24 years ago that says, if necessary, the president can send military troops to pull our people and our allies out of the ICC. So that warrant has zero impact. And third and finally, Brianna, the Constitution is quite clear that the conduct of foreign diplomacy, foreign affairs, is entirely up to the federal government. It's certainly not up to local and county governments in New York City or elsewhere. So I know the mayor's having his best lawyers look at this right now. Let me save them some time. You do not have the authority to do this.
All right, Ellie. Very clear on that.
Ellie, I think, yeah, Brianna, I think it could have taken him that took Ellie about 5 seconds probably to look that up.
Well, we needed Ellie's opinion on that.
It's a joke.
Well,
This is not former President Joe Biden's finest moment, not by a long shot. He fought this in court and he lost. And now the leaking begins. Former President Joe Biden did not want his interview with former special counsel Robert Hur to be released to the public because, and frankly, you're going to hear it in just a minute, it's bad. He sounds like a lost old man who doesn't really know what's going on, can't remember things, and this is who was leading our country. This is in the middle of the Biden presidency. This is what Democrats wanted to keep hidden from you. And they want to keep it hidden now because they don't want you to know the wool they pulled over your eyes. That's what's happening. But the Court of Appeals shot it down. The Court of Appeals said, no, the public has a right to know. The public has a right to hear this. And the public's right to hear this is greater than your right to not have it heard. It's greater than your right to privacy. I think when you're president, you give up a lot of those rights of privacy. You don't give them all up, but you give up a lot of them. Because the people have a right to know. You are representing the entire country. You are representing over 350 million people. And those people have a right to know what's going on. They are your boss for all intents and purposes. And the Democrats, they tried to pull a fast one here. And I think this leak shows exactly how dangerous it was to be led by this man for 4 years. Let's take a look.
So during this time when you were living in Chambers Road and there were documents related to the Penn Biden Center or the Biden or the cancer moonshot or your book, where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
Well, I don't know. This is what, 2017, 18, that area?
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying. And so it was, and by the way, there were still a lot of people at the time when I got out of the Senate that were encouraging me to run in this period. except the president. It's not a mean thing to say. I mean, he just thought that she had a better shot of winning the presidency than I did. And so I hadn't at this point, even though I'm at Penn, I hadn't walked away from the idea that I might run for office again. If I ran again, I'd be running for president. And so what was happening though, what month did Bo die? May 30th, 2015. Was it 2015 he died?
Maybe 2015.
I think it's 2015.
I'm not sure the months are, but I think that was
Yeah.
That's right, Mr. President.
And what's happened in the meantime is that Trump gets elected in November of 2017? 2016. All right. So, why do I have 2017 here?
That's when you left office, January of 2017.
Yeah, okay. But that's when Trump gets sworn in then,
Right.
January.
Right, correct.
Okay, yeah. And in 2017, Bo had passed, and this is personal. The genesis of the book and the title, Promise Me Dad, was I know you're all close with your sons and daughters, but Bo was like my right arm, and that was my left. These guys were a year and a day apart, and they could finish each other's sentences. And Bo, I used to go home on the train in the period that I was still in the Senate. Anyway, do you remember? There was not pressure. Bo knew how much I adored him. And this sounds so. Everybody knew how close we were. There was not anybody in the world who wondered whether or not. Anyway. And so.
Sir, I'm wondering if this is a good time to take a break briefly.
No, let me just keep going to get it done.
A violation of the Logan Act is a serious offense. It is a federal offense. It can land you in jail. And what the Logan Act says is that you cannot engage in foreign policy if you're not the President of the United States, if you're not duly authorized by the President and the Congress to engage in foreign policy. And you are certainly not allowed to engage in foreign policy that goes against the interests of the United States or goes against the stated foreign policy decisions of the President of the United States. So when you violate this, it's a massive deal. And it hasn't really been prosecuted, but we have what appears to be a blatant Logan Act violation. See, people from Mamdani's team, they wanted to meet with the leaders of Iran when they were in New York for the United Nations, and they scheduled a meeting. They were set to do that until the feds moved in on it. And what happened is now he is in a lot of trouble. Mamdani, his staff that was arranging the meetings, in a lot of trouble because you cannot have this. You can't have, again, this goes beyond. This is the mayor's office in New York City, Mamdani himself, people in his office believing that they are more powerful, more important than they actually are. They are not this important. They are not this powerful. And they do not have a right to conduct foreign policy. And now people are calling for the federal government to actually take action and possibly press charges here and possibly prosecute somebody for a violation of the Logan Act. This would be significant This would be a gigantic, gigantic case. And I think they have a strong case here to be made. I want you to take a look at this.
Such a tough guy to say that kind of thing. He has no way to do that. Of course, obviously, America's not even part of that corrupt court. And so he's just a clown to even say that. So he won't try that. And I'll just sit down and focus on the problems that they have in New York. That's really not your purview. You and I know that. Sit down.
He can come to the UN Assembly. I'm not for creating a spectacle.
Listen, let's not take this lightly. You know, this is not a joke. The idea that a mayor of New York City or any city actually thinks he has power over and above what he does, and he wants to come across like this king, let's just say, or the superior leader of us all, is absolute nonsense. And, you know, I really do hope, because this could be just what we need to get this communist out.
And so I think that the mayor should make sure that he's not arresting anyone at this point.
Okay, welcome back. That was Democrat Senator John Fetterman, Democrat Ro Khanna, New York City Councilwoman Vicky Palladino, New York Democrat Greg Meeks saying Zohran Mamdani should back off trying to threaten to arrest Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu when he comes to the UN General Assembly in New York this fall. Democrat Senator Fetterman's telling Mamdani, just sit down. Look at this. Mamdani's top aide tried to meet with Iran's top official just a week ago. That's the Iranian UN ambassador. 14 House lawmakers demand a Logan Act probe at the Justice Department into Mamdani's administration. Let's bring in podcast host Bethany Mandel. Bethany, thanks for joining.
And this morning we have news that a top Republican has removed their name from contention for that South Carolina Senate seat we talked about before. Representative Nancy Mace spoke directly to the people of South Carolina and said she will not be running for that Senate seat. But she does have other plans. She has plans about what she wants to do and what she's going to do in the future. Now, I will tell you, I'm a Nancy Mace fan. I'm a Nancy Mace friend. I love her. I think she's great. We've had some great conversations. We did a great interview here on this channel with Representative Mace. I think she's a really, really good person who really cares about the people of her state. And she really cares about women's issues. She really cares about children. She really cares about certain things that have put her at odds with some people. And that's unfortunate because she has a strong belief in who she is and in doing the right thing is. I really believed she was going to get in this race. You know, she put that message up on Twitter just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. And I thought that was, you know, it was right after the tragic passing of Senator Graham. And I thought, okay, she's in this thing. We're gonna have, you know, Mace go for it. But I think the poor showing she had in the race for governor, which I think she was eminently qualified for as well, did direct her decision here a little bit. I think she maybe has had it with politics in general at this point, and she wants to do work for the people, directly for the people. And that's a commendable thing, and I have nothing but respect for her. I think that I think she's a wonderful person. She's whip smart, and she's a true conservative and a true conservative warrior. So, you know, I know a lot of people may have different opinions of her, you know, since the falling out with Trump, but she still supports Trump 100%. So I think that, you know, maybe that hurt her in South Carolina. But, you know, if you ask me who's more qualified, her or Darlene Graham, I got to go with Nancy Mace. That being said, again, the people of South Carolina will decide, and they will not have Miss Mace to choose from. I want you to hear what she had to say here.
I want to be straight with you. I'm not running for the U.S. Senate, not because I'm backing down from a fight, but because the one I'm already in matters right now. The laws meant to protect me and other women failed us, and I won't stop until that changes. So I'm not chasing another title, I'm chasing justice. Justice for me, justice for other women, and justice for every little girl who was told to stay silent. That's where my focus is today, and that's where it's going to stay. Serving South Carolina has been the honor of my life, and I will continue to voice our values everywhere I can. I'm even going to shitpost from time to time because someone has to call out the dumbasses. Because if we don't, we as a country will be gone. I love you. I want to thank you for the thousands of calls and text messages and offers to help in a race like this. And I want to say God bless you. Serving you has been the honor of my life, and I will never forget it.
That's it for our daily brief, the morning brief or afternoon brief, as it were. And again, I want to thank everybody who liked, commented, shared, and subscribed. We have some big hitters today, some big important stories. But we also have some really important stories we're working on for this evening edition at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. So I want you to come back for the evening brief and check us out then. Again, special thanks to everybody who hits those 3 dots and hits thanks to give us a super thanks. You guys are appreciated more than you know. We love you guys. God bless you. Take care, everybody.